of the city at 1.8 meters below sea level, our destination today is the lowest city in Poland, Elbląg. Built by the Teutonic Order in 1237, it is also one of the oldest cities in the country and widely overlooked by tourists. With friendly people and dazzling architecture, I found it to be one of Poland's best new destinations.
In 2013, the building behind me known as City Hall was constructed in commemoration of the original building that once stood there. The original building was erected in the 1200s and burnt down in the 1700s. Interesting note, although it is called City Hall, it is not the seat of the city authorities today in 2019.
Archaeological discoveries of the 1990s helped experts understand what the City Hall once looked like and inspired the idea of a reconstruction. Today, thanks to its location and medieval-inspired design, it's a popular site for many events such as exhibitions, concerts, or even weddings.
This passage is known as the Church Route, and it is one of the most preciously preserved medieval passageways in Poland. In fact, it's so important that between the Second World War and 2006, it was completely closed to the public. Today, tourists can have the pleasure of strolling through this narrow passageway and experience what the civilians of this town hundreds of years ago may have seen. St. Nicholas Cathedral dates back to the 13th century. It is said that despite multiple renovations, you can still find artifacts as old as 1338. Let's go inside and check it out. This imposing hole about halfway up the clock tower is rather interesting. It served a very practical maintenance function of raising and lowering bells so that they could be cleaned, repaired, replaced, etc. through the hundreds of years of the existence of this church. The safety crate has only recently been put in place. There was also a convenience. Whenever clergy needed to ring a bell, they wouldn't have to ascend the tower, as a cable would hang all the way down to ground floor. Frankly, I don't understand how they even built this tall without modern technology. I suppose that they wanted to emphasize how far the common man is away from God. Because if you climb these stairs, you'll feel the difference in the height. Nearly 100 meters and 366 stairs later, you are rewarded by one of the best views in this part of Poland on Elbląg's tallest structure.
One evening, the Teutonic Order planned a surprise attack on the city. A local baker, who was not yet asleep at the time, noticed knights gathering close to the city gate. The brave baker immediately ran to the city gate and closed it. The noise woke the city defendants, who quickly defeated the knights, and the baker was declared a hero. The credibility of this story has made for strong debate, yet a statue commemorating the events of that night stands at the end of Market Street. This Gothic building was once a Catholic church, known as the Church of the Blessed Virgin Mary. The church was built in the 13th century and since underwent several renovations. Following its near destruction in World War II, the church was transformed into a modern art gallery, a highly unusual concept.
The history of this church goes back to the beginnings of the 13th century, and it used to be a church for the most part of its history, but after World War II, there was no real decision what to do with it, whether to get rid of the ruins because it was heavily demolished, or to do something with it. There was a person who had an idea that this may be turned into an art gallery, and the communist authorities approved. So right now it's a unique combination. You can come to something that looks like a Gothic church, but you can enjoy some crazy art, concerts, artistic performances, sound and light festivals, whatever you want.
This cathedral was devastated during the Second World War, sat in ruin for many decades. Today, it is one of Poland's most unusual art spaces. If you're looking for a friendly atmosphere, style, and classy food, I've got just the place. These are braised pork cheeks. They are inspired by traditional Polish dishes with a modern twist. This meat is very tender and savory. Smells delicious. I feel like this dish is proof and evidence of the benefit of Poles being globetrotters for all those years. In fact, if you live in Poland, you don't even really necessarily need to look for high culture abroad.
In restaurant Zmysły, we want to give to people some mixed flavors. I mean, basics, foundation is Polish traditional food, but mixed with new modern things, which I took from in other countries. So mission of this restaurant is give to people flavors and energy.
Now we're headed to the Museum of Archaeology and History. Its mission is to preserve the city history in the context of the Zbudowane region.
One of the crucial features of land that helped develop the prosperity of this region were the plains between Gdańsk and Elbląg. That gave the area agriculture, which nourished the citizens and led to prosperity.
We are in quite a special place because we are in the remains of the territory of the Teutonic Knights castle. Today it's a gymnasium building. Territory of our museum existed probably the first wooden fortress of Teutonic Knights. Of course, the castle was destroyed in the 15th century by the citizens of Elbląg, but some remains we have got for this moment. Pre-castle, northern part of the pre-castle. It was the very important place for the Teutonic Knights. Before it was the first harbor. Here came people, soldiers, and of course came here a lot of people who start to live in the new country.
Mennonites arrived from the Netherlands to what is known as the Zbudowane region, and I am standing in a replica of what would have been their black kitchen. This was the heart of the house, where meals were prepared, fish were smoked. It was a very functional space, unlike the white kitchen. And this is the white kitchen. It was a place for eating, also sleeping, this bench converted into a bed. I want you to think about it. 1600s, people spoke Dutch in what is today Poland. Those people left to the Americas in the 1800s. Not much remains, but the museum does a great job at preserving their legacy.
Mission of our museum is to explain the strange, sometimes difficult, and I think very interesting history of not only the city, but also the surrounding.
You should also check out the Elbląg Canal, declared as one of Poland's wonders. The canal connects several lakes and Elbląg with the Baltic Sea.
In its prime, Elbląg was densely populated and banked against a riverfront. Locals claim that it competed with the likes of Amsterdam. Today, it is a spacious city and quaint, beautiful as Gdańsk, yet has room for the wandering tourist to spread its wing. For that reason, I insist you come here and do so. And until then, I'm Ryan Sokash for Poland In.